Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about how your offer suite ultimately impacts who you attract in your business, as well as the scalability and potential that your business has. And I'm going to be approaching this from a slightly different angle than you might be thinking. So stick with me here. And I want to start with a story. There is another business that arguably could be considered a competitor to Lean Out Method. I tend to view competitors a little bit differently than other people do, but they're in the similar space. They sell to similar people on the surface. It's not actually true underneath the covers, which is what I'm going to kind of dive into in today's episode. But over the years, this business has, I will be very nice in how I word this and say they have modeled a lot of what they do after what I do. And over the years, I've had many people send me their website or send me emails that they've sent and said, I think they're copying you. I've heard this so many times over the past few years, and recently put something out that was my language almost exactly, the same name as one of my signature programs, the same tagline as one of my signature programs. So I got a lot of emails from people saying, I can't believe they're copying you. Did you see this? And this episode is actually not about what to do when somebody copies you, although that would be a topic for another day. But that being said, there's something that's really interesting and why I was not worried. Why it did not make me worried whatsoever when I saw what they were doing over these past few years and especially recently. And it's their business model. When I looked at their business model, I knew that there was no way their business could ever possibly be that successful. Despite looking wildly successful from the outside, despite having a fantastic marketing team, they have a great copywriter on staff, I will say, or whoever does their copy does an excellent job. They do a really good job to be able to compel people to be interested in what they sell and what they do. However, I never really saw them as a long-term threat. I don't really see any business as a long-term threat, but I never saw them as a long-term threat. I knew that in the short term, their great copy and their great marketing might end up get some people to say yes to their offer instead of one of mine, but I was never worried long term. And I'll share why, because it gets into today's topic. When I looked at their business model, which you can tell by the offers that a business sells, when I looked at how they structured their offers, the offers that are very similar to mine, as well as the other offers that they have, what I could see was 2 blaringly obvious things. Number one, they work way too hard for the money that they make in their business. I have no doubt that they bring in good revenue, but there is no way that they're very profitable. There is so much complexity in the way that they've structured their business and in the way that they deliver their offers that it has got to be a nightmare to manage, very high risk from a profit perspective, and low margin. And that is the exact opposite of how I've structured my business model. So I know from a sustainability perspective, the way they structured their business model is not sustainable, or at least not sustainable without completely killing themselves and their team. And the second piece of it is that there is no way they actually serve the same market as me. On the surface, it looks like they do. They speak to the same market. They say they work with the same market. But the way they have their offer structured, I know this market inside and out. I have worked with the same market so closely for more than 20 years now. I spend most of my days every day having conversations with business owners scaling from multi-6 to multi-7 and 8 figures. I know their pain points. I know what they like. I know what they don't like. I know how they like things structured. I know how they do not like things structured. And when I look at the way that this other business has their offer structured, there is no way they are attracting the market that they say they sell to. The way that they structured their offer actually is going to attract somebody who either has not yet hit six figures or who has hit maybe a plateau and is in that very desperate place of, I just need to get something working. And the problem is that the offer they're delivering is for a multi-six or multi-seven figure founder. It's not for someone who is not yet broken through six figures or who is at that very stuck plateau place. That person needs a different offer than the one that they're offering. So they've got a mismatch. So their very strong marketing and very strong copywriting might get that under six figure person or that stuck person to say yes. But then when they get in, there is no way that the offer that they're delivering is going to actually meet their needs, which means they are either going to have to work really hard for their clients that said yes in order to get them results, or they're going to have very unhappy clients and high churn and people wanting to leave. The other thing is, it's not just the way that they structured their offer, but it's the fact that anybody who's actually at multi-six to multi-seven figures, somebody who's been in this game for a while, who's run business for a while, they're smart, they're savvy, they're observant. When they look at their business model, they're smart enough to look at it and say, that's not a business model that I want. I don't want to run a business with that much complexity. So all around, they're not designed to attract the person that they say they're trying to attract. And that's either intentional. They're marketing to a multi-six plus figure founder, knowing that they're going to attract maybe an 80K founder trying to break through 100K, in which case it's misleading, but a strategy. Whereas a business, they're super confused as to why they keep trying to get this certain level of client and they're getting a different level of client. And at the end of the day, right, it doesn't matter if someone is brand new, someone's been in business for a while and trying to break six figures, if someone's at multi-six figures trying to break seven, at multi-seven trying to break eight, like, doesn't matter what level it is, there are offers that are right for that particular market. And the challenge is when you have a mismatch, when you have an offer that is solving a problem for someone not yet at that level. They're going to feel very overwhelmed by the offer. You're going to have to do a lot of convincing to help them understand why they need the offer. If they take perfect action and implement, they're not going to see the same level of results, right? You don't want a mismatch. You need the right offer for the right audience and the right marketing and the right conversion engine that ultimately brings the right people into that offer. And so while it is annoying, it is frustrating, there are legal aspects to someone copying your work and infringing on your intellectual property. At the end of the day, other than being annoyed, I was never worried. And I've seen this business go through a lot of changes. I've seen them drop pricing, not surprising. I've seen them make leadership changes, not surprising. And it's because they were never designed for success. And the reason I share that story is because at the end of the day, it all comes down to business model and offer suite. I can look at almost any business and tell them how much money they either make or can make based on their offer suite. So many businesses have these incredible, brilliant goals, this huge impact that they want to make, these high revenue figures and high profit margins that they want to bring in, and they do not have an offer suite that will ever be able to support that growth. Or even if they've got the right offers, they don't have the right underlying structure in systems and team, the SPSTI, strategy, planning, systems, team, and insight. They don't have the right ecosystem supporting it to be able to actually deliver at the level they need to hit the goals that they have. So with the new year right around the corner, I thought it was the perfect time to talk about Offer Suite, give you a few questions to reflect on, and look at those incredible, beautiful, big, bold goals, that vision that you have for next year, and make sure that your Offer Suite, as well as your supporting ecosystem, can take you there. So first things first, what is your financial target for the year? And how does that align with the goals that you have, the impact that you want to make? You always want to start with the end in mind. So get really clear on what success looks like for you in the new year. And I always like to look ahead, right? Not just next year, but what's the trajectory that you see ahead for the next few years? Where do you want to take things, and how is what next year looks like going to help get you there? Now, once you have that, look at your signature offer. Look at the core thing that you want to be selling and delivering throughout the year, and look at how many people you would need to serve in order to hit that target. And then assess if that's feasible based on the team that you have today, and based on the time that you have today, based on the systems and the tools and the support that you have today from a technology perspective. Is that possible? Can you actually deliver on that? And can you do it and still deliver an exceptional client experience, one where people have not only a good experience, but get the results that they signed on for? If the answer is yes, great. And what I recommend in that scenario is pretend that instead of the goal that you want to hit, you double it, or you triple it, or you 5x it, or 10x it. And look at what would fall down in your business. Where would you fall short? Would it be a systems problem? Would it be a team problem? There is always a problem that you're going to hit at some point. There is some ceiling within your current structure that is going to tap you out in how much you can sell or how much you can deliver. If you convert through sales calls, for example, maybe there's not enough time to have enough sales calls to convert enough people. So you would need to hire a sales team. Maybe it's not a sales call. Maybe you do an onboarding call that's one-on-one with people, and you're going to tap out there. So you start looking at ways to do a group onboarding call, or to fully automate the onboarding and do pre-recorded videos and messages and such. Even if you know that you can deliver and you can sell what you want to hit your financial targets and goals for the year, keep stretching those numbers and keep stretching what those are until you recognize what will break in your ecosystem so that you can double down on it and get ahead of that potential growth. So you don't have any ceilings that you're putting on yourself for the year, even if those exceed what you think you want to do for the year. And then, of course, on the flip side, if you look at that and you say, I would need to serve 100 people. I have capacity for 50. Well, then what are you going to do about that, right? Sometimes in your offer suite, it's changing your offer, but it's usually not. It's usually more shifting the packaging, the pricing, or the positioning of that offer. Maybe it's that your price needs to increase. Maybe it's the way that you package it needs to change. So instead of it being a 6-month offer, it's a 90-day offer. And so you can hit those targets by serving more people. Maybe you run multiple cohorts of the same offer. So you're scaling it out that way. It ends up being minimal time for you, but a whole lot more extra revenue coming in, a whole lot more impact being made. And then finally, the last question to reflect on. Once you know where you want to go, once you start with the end in mind, you know what success looks like. You've evaluated what it's going to take from your current offer suite, if you can get there with it or not, if and where things are going to break down so you know what to focus on. The final piece is simplicity. Ask yourself, and also ask your team, really challenge yourselves to reflect on what is the simplest, most streamlined way that we can deliver this? How can we simplify how we market and sell what we do? How can we simplify how we deliver what we do? And how can we continue to deliver the experience that we want and the results that we want in a much more simplified way? I guarantee you there are ways to lean things out. There are ways to simplify or automate pieces of what you do. And there are certainly ways to save yourself from a whole lot of headache and a whole lot of complexity. As I shared, this other business model of this other business had one of the most complex business models I've ever seen. And that was so ironic considering what they were selling. It doesn't mean they couldn't be successful with that business model. I've seen a lot of people have a lot of success with complexity. The problem is you work really, really hard for that success, and your profit margins are usually pretty low. I don't know about you, but when I think about the impact I want to make, when I think about the type of success and the type of lifestyle that I want to live, I want simplicity on my way to high impact and high profit. That to me is the mix that I want. I don't want high complexity, low profit margins, marginal impact. And that is the way I see a lot of businesses setting themselves up because of the way that they have architected their business model and their offer suite. So this is a great time to reflect on what yours looks like and make sure that you're making those small pivots or small changes in your packaging, your pricing, and your positioning as you're going into the new year. So you are set up for a whole lot of success and scale without all the complexity. If you want any support getting clear on your offer suite, your business model, or the supporting ecosystem to make next year wildly successful, go ahead and book a strategy session and get one of the limited spots on my calendar right now that are available through the end of the year. You can find that at leanoutmethod.com/FIFO, FIFO, which stands for Figure the F Out, which is what we will do together on our 90-minute strategy call. So I hope you got lots of value out of this episode. I will see you again next week. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. I hope you got a lot of value and actionable insights from today's show and would love if you take a moment to leave us a review. If you have any questions on today's episode or on how to lean out your business, join us over in our private Facebook community where every week we do live training and Q&A, and I'd love to have you be part of the conversation. Head to leanoutmethod.com/group to join us. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the show so you're the first to know when we release a new episode. We'll see you next week.